Hey everybody, welcome to another Cricut Craft tutorial. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to my channel down below. Just hit that big red subscribe button, totally free. Would love to have you as part of my crafty family here on YouTube. Today's video is a really fun one. We're going to use just a couple of supplies and it's going to be a super fun craft that you can do for any season. You don't have to just do this for Christmas, but I wanted to make this a really fun sparkle sign. So you'll need some stencil material. I used Star Mask by Starcraft. You'll also need some sort of paint. I love the chalk and mineral paint from Starcraft as well. And you'll want to try to match the color of your paint to whatever color glitter you're going to use. So if you're using blue glitter, blue paint, green glitter, green paint, you get the idea. Then you're going to want to choose a glitter. I like to choose a finer glitter for something like this. It just works a lot better. And I'm going to use the Black Pearl from Starcraft as well. And then you'll need something that you're going to stencil on, and we're going to make this really fun Santa with the dinosaurs pulling his sleigh sign. This is just something cute and funny, and it's really easy. The wood sign came from Hobby Lobby, and then the stencil came from Design Bundles. I'll link everything down below so that you guys can make this exact sign if you want, or you can make any other sign that you so desire. If you make a glitter sign, please tag me. I would love to see it. It looks super fun, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. So let's get started. Here in Cricut Design Space, we're first going to need to upload our design, which I got from Design Bundles, and I will link it down below for you. We're going to be cutting this with stencil material because we're going to make this really cool glitter sign. So what I'm going to do is click Upload Image and then click Browse. Now you can do this one of two ways. So you can click Browse and then search for it if you want to. So like I would have to go to my Cricut folder and then into my Christmas folder and then find it through all of this. Or what you can do is just have your folder open down in your taskbar and then just drag and drop. I prefer the drag and drop method, but really it's up to you and whatever you want to do. So because this is an SVG, we don't really need to do anything specific to it other than just upload. So down in the lower right-hand corner, click Upload. Once it's over here in your recent uploads, just click on it to select it and then add it to the canvas down in that lower right corner again. Now I measured my piece and I have about 11 inches by 4 inches. So oddly enough, this is pretty close to the right size. Now I will say this one is angled a little bit, so you can leave it that way, or if you want it to be a little more straight on, you can change that up if you want to. It's really up to you and kind of how you want to do it. But if you don't want to move it, that's okay too. If you don't like what you did, just hit undo and it will eventually undo everything that you did. So like I said, I've got about 11 by 4, so I'm going to go a little bit smaller than 4 inches tall, just so I can make sure that it's going to fit and it'll look just fine. So I have it about 3.84. I could probably go a little bit bigger. I do want this to take up quite a bit of the space on my image. Now again, this is just a silly picture, but you can do really whatever you want. I just thought this would be funny and I like dinosaurs, so why not? Now I'm going to show you a really cool resource for cutting your files. If you go to 143vinyl.com, you'll see that there's a little menu over here that you can click, or you could just click resources down in all of these icons. What I love about this is that there is a fun resource and it's super handy to have. It's the cutter and press settings. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to ask me to click here to download the file. I don't actually save my file because it does update from time to time. So I just pick it up and look at it through here. So we are going to be using Starcraft stencil material. So what you'll do is you'll look down here and see where you find the Starcraft stencil material. So this is called Star Mask 900 stencil vinyl, and it's just cut on the regular vinyl setting. For your Cricut, they also have silhouette and brother scan and cut settings, so you can find tons of settings here. So all we have to do is cut this on just the regular vinyl setting. So let's head back over to Cricut and we can go ahead and get this ready to cut. Now, because stencil vinyl is just like regular adhesive vinyl, we don't need to mirror this unless you wanted it to face the other way. You can flip it if you wanted Santa going the other direction to the left, but it's really up to you and how you want to do it. I'm just going to leave this as is. So all you'll need to do is click Make It. Now I am using my Cricut Maker 3 for this, so it is going to ask me if I'd like to cut on matte or off matte, and for this I'm going to cut on matte because this is not a Cricut Smart Vinyl. Go ahead and click Done, And you'll see here that you have this loaded onto your mat. Now, one thing that I want to do, because I'm going to stencil this, is I want a little bit of space around my design so that it's not right against the edge, so that when I go to paint on this, I'm not going to accidentally get paint on the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move him over and down a little bit. You don't have to leave a ton of space, but I do like to leave a few inches, like an inch or so, just from the top and the sides. So now you can see that you've got a little bit of space over here, and you can actually move him over just a little bit more if you want to. And that leaves me with about an inch all the way around him. That way when I go to put it on to our design or onto our blank, we're going to have that little bit of extra edge to protect ourselves from accidentally painting something we don't want to. Now, all you'll need to do is click continue, and it's going to bring up your cut settings. Now, if you're using an Explore machine and you have the dial, I do recommend just keeping your dial set to custom, because then it's always going to ask you what setting you want to use, rather than trying to remember to change your dial. Now for this one, all we're going to use is our regular vinyl setting, so really simple. I'm going to take you guys over to the machine and show you how to load the star mask. Then we're going to get it ready to paint. What we have here is a roll of the Star Mask Stencil Material. I've got a green mat. My Cricut is ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plastic off of my mat. I always recommend holding on to that. And then because this is such a large roll, what I do, and this is like my favorite hack, on your Cricut, go ahead and slide your mat under your Cricut door. So you see I just have like a little bit of my mat showing, just a couple of inches. Then I take my large roll and I put it on my Cricut, so it's like inside of the Cricut on the door. And then all I'm gonna do is take this end and just line it up on my mat. And then you can see all I do is I kind of pull my mat out from under my machine. Now I clearly did not cut the top of this straight, but it's okay, it'll be fine. I'm not really worried about that. So then all I do is I'm just gonna kind of turn my mat, and we're gonna load it into the machine, and then we'll let this kind of unroll a little bit on the end, because it is gonna pull the mat all the way into the machine. So you do wanna have a little bit of extra roll. And then it's gonna go ahead and cut out our design, and I just leave it rolled up and on the end here, and then when it's done, we'll just cut it off. Now that it's done, just go ahead and unload it, and I'm just gonna set this down, close my machine, and then I'll kind of roll up the rest of the stencil material that we kind of unrolled. So I just kind of tighten it back on to our roll, just enough that I can kind of access my design here. Now this is going to be a little difficult to see, so I'll be honest with you. It is a little hard to see, but what I do is I just get my X-Acto knife out, and I'm going to find my design. And if you really can't see it, what's a really helpful tool? Get your cell phone. All you need to do is turn your little cell phone flashlight on, and you'll be able to see your design like perfectly. It's just hard to see sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna cut this pretty far down, just so that I make sure that I have enough space. And I'm just using my X-Acto knife and just kind of trimming that off. Then all I need to do is kind of peel off this end, just gently. And you can flip your mat over if you choose to, but it's up to you. And there is that one. And then I'm going to flip my mat over for this portion. And we're going to go ahead and flip it over and just peel off the vinyl. Now this mat's pretty sticky for as well loved as it is. And there we go. So when you go to weed a stencil, you're not going to weed the outside. You're actually going to weed the places that you want the paint to go through. So it's kind of like the opposite of what you would think. Now again, I have a hard time seeing this, so I just use my cell phone. And usually once I can kind of find the beginning of the design, I'm okay to like let it go and not have to use my phone. But you can use like a light box if that's helpful to you. Really just find out what works best for how you want to weed. But I just like to use my cell phone. Like I said, usually once I find the beginning, I'm fine. It's just a matter of like starting it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all weeded out, and then we can get ready to put it onto our sign. We're going to apply some transfer tape to our stencil first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and we'll save the extra. You can always save your extra transfer tape. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down a little bit. And it's not going to cover my entire stencil. Totally okay. I'm not worried about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to peel my backing up first. And I'll use my pin pen to get it started. I like to de-stick my transfer tape a little bit before I do any kind of stenciling. So what you can do is you can flip it over, stick it to your table. You can stick it with your hands on it. But I do like to just give it a little bit less stick. And this isn't quite as sticky as like my medium tack, so I like to use the Caesar for stencils. So I'm just gonna lay my stencil down onto my transfer tape, and then I'm gonna burnish mine from the back. Just giving it a pretty good press. You don't wanna go too hard, but you just give it a nice little burnish from the back. And then all I'm gonna do is make sure it looks good. Yep. And then I just use my pin pen again to peel off the backing of my transfer tape. Now I am going to go slow. I want to make sure everything stays on to the transfer tape and not on the backing. I did lose a little piece when I was weeding, but it's fine. I'm not really worried about it. It won't change the look of the design. It was just a little part over by Santa. Now see right here, we got a lift. So what you want to do is just make sure that that all stays down on your transfer tape. So now what I'm going to do, so this is the piece that we're working with. This is a piece of wood from Hobby Lobby. I want to make sure I face it the right direction so it has a little clasp or a hanger on it. And then all I want to do is I'm going to take my design, and what I like about this is that you can really see through it pretty well so that you can see where you're setting this down to make sure that it's going to fit on your page or on your blank, and then you can make sure that you like where you have it sitting. I think that looks good. Looks like we got everything covered. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in with my X-Acto knife for this because peeling this off is not always super easy. So I'm just going to come in with my X-Acto knife, and I like to just trim this down a little bit because I've got this ledge here that I can just kind of trim along. Just be careful when doing it. You don't want to scratch your wood. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. And I only really need to do it on one side. It just makes it a little easier when you go to take off your transfer tape. So once we've got that, we're good, we're happy. We can go ahead and burnish this down. Now it is going to bounce around a little bit because of the hanger that's on the back of this, but that's okay. So you want to make sure that you're burnishing all your little small lines and make sure that they're staying down. So I just try to go through and get any of those little small pieces. There's not a lot on this design, but if you come across one that does have quite a few, you're going to want to make sure you burnish them well. So then just like when you're applying vinyl, you want to go ahead and remove your transfer tape at a sharp angle. So you can see I've kind of got it folded over itself. And then I'm just going to peel it off, making sure I'm watching all those small pieces that might lift. We're just going to watch and make sure everything stays on. That looks really good. Easy peasy. So then I'll go ahead and set this aside. You can actually reuse this. I'll save this because I am going to do another stencil. I'll get our paint all ready and then we can stencil. We're going to be using StarCraft's chalk and mineral paint for this, and then I have StarCraft in black pearl to use for their glitter. It's going to be so cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a stencil brush, and one thing is you don't want to wipe, you want to tap when you're putting a stencil on. The wiping causes it to go under your stencil. So one thing too is you just kind of go through and make sure that your stencil is well down. I usually give it a nice little just check. It looks good. This is a really easy material to see if you have any bubbles. So another thing is do not go too heavy on your paint. So I always just like to say the lighter the better. You can do multiple coats. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and you can see I'm doing an up and down motion. I'm not wiping. It's all up and down and it's just a lot of tapping. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through here. You want to make sure you cover all the parts of your design with paint. So you just kind of go around and just make sure that there's paint in all of your spots. Again, don't wipe, just tap. So I'll go ahead and get all the paint on, and then I'll show you guys what we're gonna do with the glitter. So the one thing that's great about the StarCraft chalk and mineral paint is that it covers so well that I don't know that I need a second coat, but I am going to add a second coat in a few spots just to be sure that I got the spots really well. So like around Santa, I'm just going to add a little bit more. You don't, again, you want to do really light layers. You want to go too crazy, just nice light layers. And I'm just kind of going through and just tapping it all over again to make sure that I didn't miss any spots. Just want to give it a nice coating and just to make sure you didn't miss anything. So look for your design and kind of follow it around and just make sure there's no white areas that you can see through. So now we're done with our paint. You want to make sure to close that up and put that away to the side so that it doesn't get everywhere. And I'll do that. And then we're going to use the glitter. So while your paint is still wet, and what I recommend is I'm going to grab a sheet of the backing from my vinyl. That way you don't have to kind of like waste stuff. And what I'm going to do, I put a crease in it because it'll be easier to pour the glitter back on to my tub. But we're going to be using the Black Pearl, which is a really pretty metallic black. Now, I haven't used this one before, at least not this bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off. And we are going to just shake some of this glitter right on top of the paint. While it's still wet, you don't need to do a lot. Just a nice little light dab will do. But you can really put as much glitter and, you know, sass on this as you want to. It's really up to you. But you just want to make sure that you cover all the spots where the paint is. And then you can let it dry for a little bit. We are going to dump some of the glitter off here in just a moment as well, but like I said, you can kind of just go crazy and do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's really up to you and how you want to do it, what color glitter you want to do, what color paint. It's really up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this part. I'm going to let this sit and dry for just a few moments. Then I will dump the excess glitter off of this, and then we will get the stencil off. I've let this sit and dry for just a few minutes, only maybe 3. And that's just to let that glitter kind of soak in a little bit. So then, like I said, I keep a little piece of my backing from my vinyl, and then all I'm going to do, and this is messy. Like, I'd love to tell you that this craft is not messy. You're not going to get glitter everywhere. You're 100% going to get glitter everywhere. But, I mean, you're a crafter, so it's to be expected. So all I'm going to do is just tap this a little bit and just give it a little tap, 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 just to get some of that loose glitter off, because there is quite a bit of glitter on here, so you just want to tap what you can off. Like I said, you're going to make a little bit of a mess. It's okay. Not a big deal. And then you can kind of turn it upside down too if you want and give it a little tap from the back. It looks like most of that glitter is well stuck. So we'll go ahead and put this over to the side really quick. And then all I'm going to do is dump the excess glitter right back into my glitter jar. That you'll see it's super easy to just pour the glitter right back into the glitter jar. Now, like I said, you are going to end up with glitter in places. It's no big deal. One thing that I love that I have for my craft room that I highly recommend, and I will link below, is this little desktop vacuum. Look how cute. It's a little ladybug. Runs on a AAA battery, and all you got to do, turn it on and simply run it over your desk. And all remnants of glitter are gone. And I will tell you, the battery lasts forever. It works really well. So this is a highly recommended product. So let me go ahead and get this all put away, and then we can peel off our stencil. All right, we've let this dry for a little bit. Now again, it is going to be messy. So you can always put something down if you want to. It's really up to you because the glitter is going to flake off. Just keep that in mind. So it will be messy, but I'm not too worried about it. So what you're going to do is start with the main part of your stencil. And I am going to very carefully peel this off. And this is the reason we use stencil film, because it's less likely to lift up any of the paint from your white part. And all I'm going to do, and you're going to go very slow, very careful. And I didn't let this fully dry. This has only been sitting for about 7 minutes total. So the paint is not fully dry. And you do want to be careful. You don't want to touch the paint, like the white part, if that makes sense, with your vinyl that's got paint all over it. So if you're having a little bit of trouble where it doesn't want to like come apart, I sometimes will actually trim this off, and I will come back to this part if it's being kind of sticky, just so that I don't make a mess. So I can just go along the top doing it this way. It's just a little tip. If you're having trouble peeling it, just peel it so that you're only dealing with like one side, and it's going to go a lot easier for you. And it can help to have the picture of your image too, so that you can see exactly where your design goes. That way you're not gonna like mess up anything. So then once I have this big long blob here, I'm gonna cut it off again because I don't want to get that everywhere. I would recommend having a trash can right next to you for this. So then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel this one off, and don't worry about this loose glitter. It will come off of your design really, really easily. And we're gonna get all this stuff kind of that's stuck in the middle. So don't worry, it'll be just fine. We're just gonna go ahead and get all of this off. Now this is where I recommend having some stab and grab tweezers or a pin pen, but I like to use some of the Caesar weeding tweezers. These are awesome too for this because you can get into here and get a good peel going just right around where you need it to go, because this is gonna go all the way into Santa here, and just toss that out. This way you're not touching this with your hands as well, so you're not gonna end up with glitter all over yourself. Like I said, having a picture though of what your design looks like can really, really help, because we've got those little pieces in the centers here that I'm gonna have to try to get out. So we're gonna go ahead and very carefully do those. Plus we have the spot by his mouth. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting this all weeded out, and then I'll show you what it looks like all finished. Here is our finished sign. Super easy, really fun, and don't forget that you can use code Corinne to save 5% at 143vinyl.com. This was really cool, and like I said, you can do this on anything that you want, in any style that you want, with any colors that you want. So be sure to tag me if you make this. I would love to see how you interpret your own glitter sign. This is something you can do with the whole family. If you have any questions, let me know in those comments down below. I love to answer your questions for you. I hope you all had such a fun time learning how to make your very own glitter stencil sign. Have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!